So these are all my tarot decks. I have them in this basket that I keep in my Calyx unit. This is what it looks like. This basket I keep on my desk and have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 decks in it. I'm gonna put you top down so we can look at all the decks that I have in my collection. If you stay tuned for the end, I'll show you the decks that I decluttered this month. So let's start with what I have in this basket that I always keep on my desk. The first little one here, we have the Morgan Greer Tarot, and this is of course the mini one in a tin. And I have used this in a couple of readings for my political tarot readings. I haven't really done many personal readings with this yet, but this is quite new in my collection. I only got it in the month of November, and so far I am enjoying it. Some of the minor arcana, especially in the wands suit, I sometimes find a little hard to read because I can't really tell immediately whether it's supposed to be the 9 of Wands or the 6 of Wands. I particularly find those two to look very similar. But I know that once I work more with this deck, it's gonna get easier for me to read with it. And so far, I quite like it. Yeah, this is the 9 of Wands, and I do feel like the stance here, like walking, feels like the pride in like the 6 of Wands. So sometimes I get this card and I'm like, oh, that's the 6 of Wands, and I look at the number, nope, that's the 9. That is the Morgan Greer in a tin. Next here I have my Mermaid Tarot, and this is a deck that I am not sure whether I am going to keep it. That is why I have it in a basket on my desk, because I want to start working with it more, because I do think that these cards are stunning. This is a Llewellyn deck, so in like one of those box sets, so there is a big guidebook that comes with this. I haven't really read that. And this is an amazing shuffle. So shuffle-wise, this is a really great deck to work with. I recently used it for a personal reading as well. And I do think, again, that it is a really pretty deck. And some suits, especially the Wands suit, I feel like it is done so incredibly well in this deck. And I do think it's really pretty. But I don't know if really pretty is enough for me to save this deck. Look at that. That is so stunning. But I don't know if this is enough for me to want to keep it, you know? I don't know. Let me know. Do you keep decks only because you feel like they're pretty? Or are you like a collector and you don't really mind whether or not you use your decks a lot? I personally am not a collector. I don't really care to be a collector. I feel like if you are a collector, that's awesome. It's just not something for me, and I've been feeling really overwhelmed with my collection lately, which is why I recently did a bigger declutter. And I feel like the Mermaid Tarot is definitely up for, what do you call it, like on the chopping block, I guess. Then here we have an Oracle deck, and this is a bit of a weird bag. It's way too big, and this initially was made for my Zombie Tarot, which I have since decluttered. And now it just houses my oddly shaped tea leaf fortune cards. So these are round, and I don't have all the cards in here simply because I don't like all of the cards. I don't feel like I need to read, like I need all of the cards in there because some just don't really make sense. It's really hard to have them all like facing the right way to show you. I do think that this is a fun deck to work with. I don't get super like deep going messages from like one card. I use this more for like quick advice or a quick insight, maybe alongside a tarot reading. And I don't use Oracle that much anyway, but I do think that this is a fun deck that actually energy-wise is very neutral and works well with a lot of decks, which is why, like a lot of my tarot decks, which is why I like it so much. So yeah, that is the tea leaf fortune cards. I did take out the months and I don't know, the houses or whatever else is in there. I keep that in the box that I store elsewhere. So yeah, my tea leaf fortune cards. Then here we have my Witchling Academy Tarot. And this also comes in a bigger Llewellyn box set. Not one of those like big ones like the Mermaid Tarot, but this does come with a like an amazing guidebook that has the entire story of this this deck, this character in it, because the character here is Charlie, the one with the pink hair. And she finds out that she is magical, and she goes to the Witchling Academy to learn magic. And there's an incredible story that goes with this, and the story alone makes me not want to get rid of this deck, but it is in the basket because it is sort of up on the chopping block, because I am just not sure if this is a deck that I ultimately need in my collection. I do think it's stunning though. There are a couple of like weird things in here because Charlie is a teenager, and then I find this to be a little bit of a compromising position for her, especially the Devil card is really weird. But then there are cards like this that I love so much. And I don't think I'm in a position right now to let go of this deck. I think it's really stunning. Look at this, so weird. She's a teenager. That's weird. Like if this was like a college, so she was college age, I think that would be more inappropriate, or it would be more appropriate. But yeah, I love the story with this one as well. I don't use it often though, which is why it is up on a chopping block. I don't use it often. And the story is great. And I'm not really like a manga anime type of person, but I do really like this deck. And then here we have my white Numan tarot. This is also sort of up on the chopping block. I made this bag for the deck only, and then I decided to also store the book in there, so it's a really tight fit. Okay, so my problem with this deck is that I don't use it. I rarely use it, which is again why I have it in this basket, so that I can use it more often. And it is so pretty. It's really totally my aesthetic. I think it's stunning, but I don't always get like super deep readings from it, which is why I don't often use it. If I want to do a reading for myself or for a client, this is not the first deck that I think of to use. But like I said, it's stunning, but I don't know. Oh yeah, there's titties in this. I don't know if that is enough for this deck to keep being in my collection. You know, again, I would love to hear your thoughts on what points does your deck need to hit in order for it to keep being in your collection. I do think it's so pretty. Like, oh my god, it's so pretty. Oh, I love this Queen of Pentacles. But also, I'm not really purchasing from Liminal 11 because of how they handled the horrible situation with one of their deck creators. I did do like a mini reel about, or no, wait, what is it called? A short. I did do a short about it, which I'll link somewhere either on the screen or in the description box. And they just never addressed the deck creator being incredibly nasty to one of the deck reviewers of the Cannabis Oracle, Metaphysical Cannabis Oracle. So yeah, I don't know, that just leaves a very nasty taste in my mouth. So I definitely won't be purchasing from Liminal 11 anytime soon. If they ever address it anyway, I don't feel like they will. And this is the only deck that I have left from Liminal 11. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, next here I have, actually I keep my three little journals in here that I won't be going over, but this is like my magical little book of shadows. So I keep those in here to have them handy. Then I have my Deep, Dark, and Dangerous Oracle. I'm still going through the deck study on this, but the guidebook is so hard to read. Let me show you. There is this pattern on the background, and that makes it so hard for me to read the text. Like, even the camera is sort of having a hard time focusing on it. Yeah, it's not great. The guidebook, like how hard it is to read is really hard. These are the cards that I already read the guidebook for. So I'm gonna show it from here. Yeah, the cards are pretty though, and I really like that these are all like creatures from like the night, the dark, the deep, the dangerous, you know, and I like that so much. I love learning about the stories behind these characters, behind these creatures. I think that's so incredibly interesting, and I can't wait to have read it all and to implement my knowledge on these creatures in readings. And I think this would be a really great one for more shadow work. And I do have another oracle deck that I like for shadow work as well, my Dark Mirror Oracle, which you will see later in this video. And I think this could go great with the Dark Mirror Oracle, actually. Yeah. Ooh. Okay, so enough of looking at these pictures. So that is the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous Oracle by Stacy DeMarco. And then here I have my little cheat sheet that I don't really use anymore. Luckily, my Oracle journal and my little book of spreads. And then I have my last deck in here, which has been in here for a while because this is a Lenormand deck. This is the Green Glyphs Lenormand, and I got this for the book, but ultimately I wasn't really loving the book as much to learn how to read Lenormand. So yeah, that is a bit of a bummer. But the cards are really stunning, and I have put them in the right order, so I'm going to keep them in the right order. The cardstock isn't amazing because it's like super rose petal-ish, and I don't like that. I have like texture issues when it comes to I don't know, the matte. I don't know, I don't like it. I don't like it. I probably will end up writing keywords on this deck to help me learn Lenormand. I can either do that on this Lenormand deck or the other Lenormand deck that I have. I only have two. Yeah, I like this. I can't really say much more about it just because I haven't mastered Lenormand yet, and I definitely want to learn more about it. So I definitely need to sit down with the guidebook to read about how the system works, and because tarot was so easy for me to learn, and then I have a harder time not only learning Lenormand but also reading oracle cards. I definitely have an easier time reading tarot than oracle. Because sometimes I feel like, okay, but what can Oracle do for me that Tarot can't? So any Oracle deck in my collection needs to do something significant or different from what Tarot can do for me, or it has to be easier, like with the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous Oracle, or even my Dark Mirror Oracle. Those are perfect for shadow work because they are made for that. They are made to uncover what is hidden, and not every tarot deck can necessarily do that. Wait, how did I put this in here? Oh, like this, I think. Okay, I might as well show you the next Lenormand deck that I have, which is the Dreaming Way Lenormand. I also have the Dreaming Way Tarot, and I think this is such a cute deck. But again, I can't read Lenormand. Oh, this cardstock feels so much better. I do see myself working with this as a Lenormand deck way more often than the Green Glyphs, simply because of the cardstock. This is so much easier and more fun to work with, to handle. Like I said, I really am all about texture, and if a deck isn't fun to handle or shuffle, it takes away from my time, like my pleasure working with the deck. So yeah, it's pretty much all the same things apply to this deck as well. I can't read Lenormand yet, but I want to learn more, and I do have found that this guidebook was more informative. This little guidebooky was more informative than the big guidebook from the Green Glyphs Lenormand, so I am a little bit bummed about that because I could have just kept this one. But now that I have the Green Glyphs, I definitely want to keep it because it's of its simplicity and minimalistic look, but I definitely prefer the Dreaming Way Lenormand over the Green Glyphs. Okay, let's start with a couple of boxed decks first before I go into the ones that I have in bags. We have my Friends Tarot, and the funny thing is I spent like a few hours, I guess, watching videos on Friends, analysis of Friends. I love that kind of stuff, okay? And then also someone who said that How I Met Your Mother is better than Friends, and I kind of agree with them. And I'll link that video down below. It's a great video to watch. I had a lot of fun watching it, and he made a lot of great points. I don't agree with all of the points, but I love Phoebe as a character so much. I hate what they have done with Joey in the show. That's so sad, honestly. But overall, this is a deck that I do really enjoy using. I do see myself getting rid of this deck eventually, just because I do think that I like How I Met Your Mother more than Friends, but it doesn't mean that I can't read with a Friends deck, because I feel like this deck is incredibly readable. There isn't even a guidebook with this deck, because you can very easily use RWS meanings with this deck. Look at Phoebe, I love her so much. But yeah, I hate Ross. I hate Ross so much. I hate this couple as well. Anyway, anyway. Yeah, that is the Friends Tarot. But it's like, there are references to the show, like right here, where Chandler is making a career change, and I think that's so well done that it's like, yeah, it's amazing that they chose the Six of Swords to show that career change for Chandler, because I think that makes sense for the Six of Swords. So I like that I have like references from the show with the tarot deck, and that is what I like about fandom decks. Might do a video on if you can actually read with fandom decks. I don't know, let me know if you are interested in that. Another deck that I keep in its box is the Pulp Girls Tarot. I think this is a really great tarot deck. It is stunning. The cardstock is, it's not the best, but it's like easy to work with. I haven't shuffled. Okay, and I just messed up. Okay, I am not gonna make a further fool of myself. I'm just gonna show you the cards. I do have mobility issues in my hands, by the way. That's my excuse. So these are stunning. It's basically an RWS clone, but it's one of my favorites in my collection because it is inclusive, it is fun, it has bright colors. I personally really like black borders. I don't mind them. I don't find them intrusive or like it's smushing the artwork or whatever. I like black borders and I like the fonts that they used here and everything. I really like this deck. It is an RWS clone, so if you are not very much into the RWS artwork, then, or like the original RWS artwork, then this might be a great alternative for you, because you do get all of the symbols that you get in the original RWS, but without sort of the blandness of the images. That is how you see that. It definitely is how I used to see the RWS. And this is just so much fun. Look at that. Oh, I love it so much. So yeah, that is the Pulp Girls Tarot. Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. This is so pretty. Well, actually, I always say that it's pretty, and I mean, I like the backs. I like that I edged it black, but the artwork, it's not my thing. But it doesn't matter, because this deck knows me so well. Whenever I want to do like an in-depth or very personal tarot reading for myself, this is the deck that I grab because it does it so well. I can so easily work with this and read these cards. These cards got to know me so quickly, and that is why it gives me such powerful readings. I love working with this deck. I think it's amazing. When I first saw it, I was like, okay, the artwork it's not my thing. It's like very collagey. All of these have like the starry backgrounds that are similar to the backs, which is something you either love or hate. I do love the 10 of Pentacles in this deck. I think that is really stunning, but I am not really a fan of the way that a lot of these people look. Like, this is the 10 of Pentacles, and this is stunning to me. I love this. I would have loved to see more of this. So yeah, but like, I don't love the people here in this deck, and the spirits of Wansley's here. I believe the other spirits as well. I like the white glowing eyes. I don't love that. This was a gift from a subscriber and channel member, so I'm super grateful, and I'm so pleasantly surprised that this deck connected with me in the way that it has. My Lightseers. This is a deck that I didn't really know if I wanted to get anyway, because everybody loved it, so I was like, if everybody loves it, I don't need to have it, right? Because I want it to be like not like the other girls or whatever that's called. But just look at the Queen of Pentacles. This is so stunning, and this entire deck is stunning, by the way. I love the use of colors here. I love that it has bold colors. I love the depictions, like here with the Six of Swords. I feel like it's very clear what the image means and what the card means. And this is an amazing deck. I feel like if you are learning the tarot and you want to learn the tarot by strengthening your intuition and looking at the cards, what you see is what the card wants to tell you. And I feel like that this deck does that so incredibly well. Like, my little brother, we talked about tarot over Christmas, and he even saw like a lot of symbology and a lot of interesting things in just the RWS Centennial that I brought with me. And I feel like, oh, I want to get him a tarot deck. but I want one where he can use the intuition that he clearly already has developed, and I want to get him a deck that that can do that. And I feel like maybe the Lightseers might be something for him. I am not sure. There might be another deck that is great for like working with your intuition, that might be a little bit more his thing. I don't know if this is a little bit too feminine for him, but we'll see. And I want to get him a tarot book with that as well. But yeah, anyway, that is the Lightseers tarot. I think it's great. I am so mad at myself that I love the Queen of Pentacles. I want to keep it on top. I'm so mad at myself that it took me so long to get this deck, because it is great. And I should have just gotten over myself sooner and to get this deck, because everybody else loved it, and they are right. I don't use this deck often enough because it's a Harry Potter themed deck, the Little Wizard's Tarot. I don't like the cardstock because it's like that velvety matte, similar to the green glyphs, only these cards are a bit thinner, so they're easier to handle and easier to work with. But I love this. Look at this. It's so easy to read with this. It's very RWS, as you can see, but it works with the characters of Harry Potter, and I feel so connected to these characters. It's so awesome. I love it. This is a card that I don't love as much, but I understand why it looks the way it does. I feel so many emotions when I read with this deck, when I look at this deck, and yeah, I definitely should work with this more. I feel like I could get just regular normal readings with this, but I get a little bit too caught up in the cuteness of this deck, of the characters, of the depictions, because it is illustrated in like a very cutesy way. So makes sense that I like the teenagers, the kids more than the adults, but still. Yes. This is a stunning deck, and even though I don't use this deck often, I do not see myself getting rid of this just because it plays into my emotions, okay? I love Harry Potter. I grew up with Harry Potter. I recognize the issues within Harry Potter, especially with the author. We do not stand transphobia, but I have such a close emotional connection with the story and the characters. Next, we have my spread deck. And this is a deck that I don't use often, but I like that I have it because I have some specific way that I want to work with later. But you can use this to create tarot spreads. So if we were to see like there's something going on and I need to see like my considerations, and I pull a card for considerations and it actually fits tarot cards perfectly here, then plan and maybe unseen influences or something like that. And you can have your 3-card spread for this. And I'll show you here with the Little Wizard's Tarot because I have it close. And you can actually put the cards like this. So it shows it like this. Considerations, a plan, and unseen influences. So like that, and you have your 3-card spread. And I do plan on creating a spread ebook, so I'm very interested in seeing how this is going to give me inspiration for that book to create spreads that are really helpful and really fun to do. To include in that book. But that is the spread deck, and this is the one by Holly Nelson. I know that there are other decks that can help you create a tarot spread, but this is the one that I have, and I got this gifted, by the way, from the creator itself. We're gonna go into a couple of smaller decks now. They're also in boxes. This is my Tarot of Trees. I like it. It's super cute. I got this earlier this year, so you can actually find it in the tarot decks that I got in 2022. Oh, it's so cute. I don't use this often enough, but this is a great deck to sort of get like a little check-in. I love this for like little check-ins and to ground myself a little bit more because it's literally trees. They're not going anywhere, but there's still this idea of movement in some of the cards, even though it's trees, and I think that's awesome. It's such a stunning card. I love the use of colors here. There's different colors that are used in all of the suits because each suit represents a season, and it has the colors that are representative for that season. So it's so cute and stunning. Look at the little butterflies. Oh, I love this deck. That is the Tarot of Trees by Dana O'Driscoll. Next is my adorable little The Tarot I still need to finish my edging job. I feel like I have shared this deck in a couple of videos lately. I don't even know which ones, but it's adorable. We follow the story of this little rat who's adorable and he's so cute, and that is why I love this deck. Like literally the character here makes this deck for me. It's so freaking cute and adorable. I love this. Oh, look at the little face. Oh, it's so cute. Okay. If you're interested in this deck, you can find it on the gamecrafter.com. The Tarot. Okay, next we have my Wild Unknown Pocket Tarot. I got this gifted from a client actually. I edged it black and I really like the way that it looks like. It looks like gray or non-existent here and then it is black on the sides. This is a deck that I don't use often. It's very confronting. Yeah, it's very confronting, but I do feel like it has a place in my collection and a place in my practice that once we're sort of out of winter and I'm sort of over my like seasonal affective disorder, I guess. You can check out my video on tarot with mental health where I talked about that. When I'm sort of over that, I'm really excited to work with this and to do some more confronting work with this deck because I think this deck is perfect for that. I love the minimalist look. I think that this deck works great as a mini deck. Not all decks, I feel like, that they haven't made into mini decks necessarily work as mini decks because there's just so much detail in the artwork. And I'm not saying that this isn't detailed, but like this is a little bit more pippish, some of the minors, and it just really works as a mini deck. So I definitely, even if I end up like super loving this, I do not see myself picking up the larger version because I feel like it works so well as a pocket edition. I have never shown this deck, but it lives in my bin with other decks. But this is the Dream Decoder, and this is a really silly deck, okay? It's not even a tarot deck or an oracle deck or whatever. This is not meant to be shuffled. It is also horrible quality. Look at all of the little papery things that are sticking out. But this is meant to, if you have a dream and a certain thing is shown in that dream, then you can use this deck to see what that means. I got this from a friend because we were in a store that had a lot of fun little quirky things to get, and this is one of those things that I saw and I was like, oh, that looks really fun. She was like, okay, I'm gonna get it for you. So that is how I acquired this deck. I haven't used it yet just because I haven't really had a lot of, or I don't remember any dreams that I had where I felt like I really needed to interpret them. But I do think this is fun, and I think it's just fun to sort of look through it. Like the quality is really bad. Like look at this little stripe here. It's just cut badly, but this was like $10, so I don't blame necessarily the creators that much. But yeah, Dream Decoder has 100 cards. You don't even need to use it for to decode dreams either. You can just think like, what do cat symbolize? And you can use it for that as well. I hate that it doesn't fit all the cards in here. Like what the, why doesn't it fit? I love my Tattoo Tarot. This is another one of those decks that is super easy to read with. It is Marseille-based. I'm pretty sure it's Marseille-based. The pips in the Minor Arcana definitely have some more looks to it, so you can very easily see the meaning of the cards. Let me wait until we get to another one. Like here we have the Cloud, so it's more like illusions. You have the Six of Wands with like the reef, so it's like prideful or like recognition, winning something. And I like it. I like it. This is one of my favorite decks, I think, because it's so incredibly easy to read with. It's fun to read with. It has a very neutral voice. I feel like I could definitely use this more for my political readings as well, because mostly I've been using my Centennial RWS for that, but I think that this could do that as well. It's a very neutral voice. It has very neutral, simple aesthetics, and I absolutely love it. I have debated putting this in a bag, but I think the box is just too pretty. Next, the Wake Me Up Tarot. I also debated putting this in a bag, which I might have to do because sometimes the box is kind of hard to open. But this is a very modern tarot deck. You can find this on Tavada. But I got it from the creator directly because it was way more affordable that way for me. to have it shipped. And it's so pretty. I feel like this shows a very modern world, the world that I feel like I live in, and I can really relate to this. And sometimes that is a little bit confronting, and sometimes it's really reassuring. So this is a deck that I haven't reached for a lot. Like, look at that. I think that's so fun. This is so modern. Like, what are you like thinking of that doesn't really matter? Like likes, money, what kind of car you drive or whatever. Getting caught up in wanting to get married or feeling like you have to read more. Why do you feel like you have to read more? Is it something that you want, or do you feel like smart people read, so I want to read more? It's like, I don't know, there's a lot there. The Queen of Cups here, I think, is really stunning. Reminds me of the one in the Wishing Academy, where the Queen of Cups is also painting. So yeah, I like this deck. I definitely want to use it more. I feel like if I made a bag for it, then I might use it more, because it's a little bit more reachable, I guess. Yeah, the Wake Me Up Tarot by, I'm not gonna pronounce that, I'm sorry. Next, we have my Therapets, and this is like an affirmation deck that is based on pets. I hate that there are so many cards here. Okay. So these are affirmations that are actually fun and helpful and meaningful. Sometimes I feel like affirmations are just like they don't really make much sense, or they try to be really deep, but actually they're not really saying anything. And I feel like this deck is different. These cards have fun and meaningful affirmations and quotes that I really like. I love the depiction here of these animals as well. I think they're great. I think this deck is great. I haven't really used it much because I used it for my podcast a lot, where I talked about self-worth and self-empowerment and stuff. I haven't, but I sort of quit that podcast to prevent burnout, I guess. So I haven't used it since. But yeah, that is the Therapets. A deck that fills a similar space is my Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle deck. I used this a bunch when I did my podcast because I feel like it has very self-empowering messages. And I really like the artwork. I love the artwork, actually. And there are a lot of keywords here and key phrases that I really connect with. But I also found that some cards I pulled a lot more often, and like this is a card that I pulled a lot. And it's like, okay, but how often are we gonna like start a revolution? And I just found it a little hard sometimes to interpret these cards all by themselves. But overall, I do think that this is a really great deck. I think it's cute. And this is not a deck that I reach for all the time, but I think that that is okay, because I want my Oracle decks to do something different for me, and this does something different for me. But that also means that the need that I had, that this deck fulfills, is not a need that I always have. But that doesn't mean that this deck doesn't need to be in my collection for when I do need it. So yeah, they Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle. So the last boxed decks are all oracles, as were the previous ones, I guess. Prism Oracle, I got this as a gift from a channel member, subscriber. She's also in the community on Discord if you wanna join that. And this is so fun. This is such a good deck. I feel like the energy is neutral. It can be used with any tarot deck, especially like other decks that have more bright colors. And it is very easy to work with. I feel like the messages it gives are easy, to the point. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, I know what I see in a certain card, but I wonder what the guidebook sees. And I don't mind looking in the guidebook for this one, just because sometimes I feel like the guidebook has either a little bit of a different approach, or it goes in like a slightly different direction than I took it. And sometimes I like the direction that the guidebook takes it in, and I can connect with that. And sometimes I connect with my own interpretation more. Yeah, I like this deck. It's fun, it's bright, it's cute to look at. I like this card. I'm gonna keep it on top. So yeah, that is the Prism Oracle. The Star Codes Astro Oracle is basically my astrology deck that I have. I have also been looking at the Radiant Oracle of the Radiant Sun, because apparently that is also really good. This is the one that I have right now because I love the aesthetics of this. I think it goes well with a lot of other decks that I have in a similar aesthetic, which is light aesthetic, I guess, like similar to the white Numan. This and the white Numan would look so good together, but I haven't really been reaching for it. I want to learn astrology better in 2023, and I hope that once I have like more astrology knowledge, then this would be easier to read with. I definitely have read with it for a couple of readings on this channel as well, but when I still did tarot readings on the channel, I don't really do them now anymore because I felt like not enough people were really watching it, but still. Okay, I'm a Leo, so I need to put the Leo card on top here. So yeah, that is the Starco's Astro Oracle. It's my astrology deck. I also previously had the Barbieri Zodiac Oracle, and I know that there are a couple of other astrology decks, but this is the one that I personally like the most right now. The Dark Mirror Oracle. I talked about this previously, and I use this for shadow work. I don't use this often because I don't often do shadow work. What I did with this, I etched it black, by the way, and I also did an entire deck study on it. So you will see keywords that I have written on the deck because I found it hard to read with this deck because sometimes the meaning isn't really super obvious for me when it comes to just the key phrase and the image. So I went through the guidebook, which is also kind of cryptic sometimes. So I read the guidebook, I sort of took my own meaning from it with the key phrase and what I see in the image, and just sort of what I felt like I needed in this deck as well. And that is my interpretation. I shared my entire deck study on this. I'll try to remember to link it in the eye or in the description, but you can find it on my channel if you look up Dark Mirror Oracle or Dark Mirror. Yeah, I think this deck is really great. I'm so happy that I did a deck study on it and that I took the time to write the keywords on it because it helps so much in working with this deck. It makes it more enjoyable to work with it. Yeah, that is the Dark Mirror. And we have the Queen of the Moon Oracle, another deck by Stacey DeMarco. And I haven't really used this much, but I do think that it's pretty. Look at that, I like the artwork. I also like the keywords here. So I don't really know why I haven't used it. Maybe because I don't really know what my goal is, what my focus is with this deck. Like I said, with many of my Oracle decks, I wanted to do something specific, and I don't really know what specific thing it is that I want this deck to do for me. So I haven't figured that out. Maybe I should just do a reading with this deck, or maybe even alongside a tarot deck to figure out what this deck can do for me that other decks can't. So maybe I should just do that. But this is also one that is on the chopping block, sort of, or at least to really figure out what I want to use it for. Yeah, that is the Queen of the Moon Oracle by Stacey DeMarco. I think this is my last Oracle deck that I have to talk about, and it's the Sacred Self-Care Oracle. I also want to figure out a new way to work with this because previously I used it for my podcast where I would pull cards for like self-care prompts, and sometimes I still do it for client readings. Mostly when I feel like self-worth, self-image is important in a reading, then I'll grab an Oracle deck for either the Therapets or the Believe in Your Own Magic. So I want to find a new way to work with the Sacred Self-Care Oracle because I do think that there are a couple of prompts in here that are really fun and really cool, and I have taken out a couple of cards here that I don't use. I don't even remember which ones. I think it's like health checkup or something like that because I feel like I can't predict anything or read cards about health. So I don't love that they put that in there. I love this. I would love to have like a meetup with friends where we just read tarot, and this is like goals for friendship. Okay. So that is the Sacred Self-Care Oracle, and now we're going to go into tarot decks that I have in my bags. Starting with my Tarot of the Divine. This was previously on the chopping block, but I found that this is amazing in combination with another tarot deck, and I actually posted that on Instagram as well in one of my posts. And I love the bright colors. Like I said, I love lighter colored aesthetic decks, but I also love bold colors, and this one is definitely more on the bold color side. I found that it really gives me life, and I do also have, it's actually, I think it's right here, right? Yeah, I have it literally under my desk, the Beneath the Moon book, and it's a really big book. But this one has the stories. So this is the Ace of Swords, and then if I pulled the Ace of Swords, I can go ahead and read the story. What I do hate about this book is that it's not in order of the tarot deck. So I had once put this deck in order of the stories here in this book because I intended to look at the cards and then read the story for all of it. But it didn't really work like that. So I don't know how I will work with this deck, or with the book at least. But I do like that there are stories in here, and I've already read a couple of stories that this one it was really good. And I really liked it. So I definitely want to read more in this book because I have really enjoyed reading the stories. And I don't know how much of the stories that I read or that I will read that I'm going to include in my readings, or that I'm just going to keep reading this as RWS. But it is really stunning. I like this deck. I keep the guidebook separate because I don't really read this deck with the guidebook. But yeah, that is the Tarot of the Divine. The deck that I paired it with, actually, the Tarot of the Divine, is my Afro Avatar Tarot. And I did do an entire deck study on this where I went through the tarot card meanings as well as the characters in this deck. And I put together my own little cheat sheet, Major Arcana as well as Minor Arcana. Oh, I love the show of Avatar so incredibly much. Look at that. This is incredible. And I have seen other Avatar or Avatar The Last Airbender tarot decks, but none are just as good as this one is. This is just the best. And this is exactly how I would have done it. The only thing that I don't necessarily super love is that there are a couple of original characters in this deck. And I feel like there could just be more Avatar in this because I just love the Avatar. But I feel like there could be more characters, like less original characters in here. Because the power is in the fact that you can connect your knowledge of the show to the people in this deck. And I guess you could see, like, this, I'm pretty sure this is an original character, but it's in Earth Kingdom style. So it's like, I could imagine that this is like Toph's mother or something like that is how I could interpret that. But like, this is super Avatar The Last Airbender. This is Boomy when he's held as a prisoner. So yeah, and this is the Fire Lord. Yeah. I love him so much. So yeah, I love the Afro Avatar Tarot, and this is pretty much my perfect Avatar Tarot deck because the other ones just have more things about them that I don't like. And this is amazing, and I love working with this deck. I hadn't reached for it for a long time until I combined it with the Tarot of the Divine, and then I started using it even more. Okay, I said I don't have any other Liminal 11 decks, but that is because I have decluttered this, but apparently I put it back in my collection bin, so here I am talking about it, but I'm definitely selling this. This is my first tarot deck, so it's kind of hard to declutter this for me personally, but I just don't work with it. I can show you the cards, but I'm not keeping this because look at that. It's such a thick deck because the cards are so thick and it's really hard to wrap my hand around. It's really uncomfortable to shuffle for me. Like I said, I do have mobility issues, so that is definitely at play here. Maybe I will keep my Wake Me Up Tarot in here in the bag, but for now I'm gonna put it in the bag. And I'm gonna put it to the side because I am going to sell my Modern Witch Tarot, which is really hard, but I don't feel good keeping it in my collection. Even though it's my first one, I could just keep it in my collection as like a collector's item, but I want this deck to be loved and used by someone else because it deserves it. It deserves it. Next, we have my Everyday Witch Tarot, and I edged the sides yellow, which I think is really fun, I should say. This is also a deck that is potentially up on a chopping block, which I find really hard to say because ever since I edged it yellow, I was like, I need to use it more because it makes me happy to look at the edges. But I don't know, it's cute, but I hate the striped leggings. Like, irrationally, I hate them. But then there are cards like this where I really like what I'm seeing. And it's not that I can't do readings with it, because I can. I just haven't felt called to use this in a long time. And when it comes to stories or yeah, stories in a tarot deck, this doesn't really, it doesn't really tell a story to me. It honestly doesn't. And I find it really hard. I don't even know if people are gonna like that I etched it yellow and if I can sell it. I do think that I still have the big box for it though. I just do not feel as enthusiastic about this deck as I do, first of all, my other decks, but also when I first got it. I definitely feel like it played a big part in my practice. I have enjoyed using it previously, but when I do a spread and I look at the cards together, I can read with it, but I don't feel like I would rather read with this than any of my other decks, if that makes sense. What are your criteria for letting go of a deck? Do you even have any? I don't know. Another Llewellyn deck. This is my Magical Dogs Tarot, and this is definitely one that I will not let go of. But the backs, I feel like I haven't shown you the backs of any of these, but well, these are dogs, period. Which is why I love them. Like, look at this. This is one of my favorite cards in this deck because the Three of Sky is the Three of Swords, and it's like heartbreak or emotional or like mental and emotional pain going together, and it's like they're all separated by these streams of water, and it's raining and it's storming, and I think this is such a good look at the animals themselves too. They feel like they look like super sad. This one is like howling, and this is just one of my favorite cards in this deck. This is so fun as well. Yeah, I could never get rid of it. I don't think I could ever get rid of this. I love the dogs here. Look at that. The 10 of Earth. Yeah, I always sort of swoon over this deck. Feel like it shows emotion in the dogs really well. This is pretty much one of my only animal tarot decks that I really, really connect with. The Magical Dogs Tarot. We're actually sort of going into my favorites. I guess all of my, or most of my favorites have bags. So this is the Good Karma Tarot. I keep it with a little golden healer crystal. Oh, this is so great. It has bold colors. It is inclusive. It's fun to look at. It has gentle messages, but they still are super accurate. I don't feel like they leave anything out. It is so easy for me to read with this deck. Also, the backs are yellow, which are just so fun. Yellow is one of my favorite colors, or it might be my favorite color. Yeah, I love the Good Karma Tarot. It's so fun. Like I said, it's easy to read with. I absolutely love this deck. I even use this for some political readings when a topic is really hard, like the protests in Iran, or what is going on in Afghanistan right now. I use this deck to get a little bit more gentle messages on something that is super important, that I find super important, but that I need a little bit more gentle messaging on. Next, we have my Anna K Tarot. I have the handbook separate. I don't really use it much. I have read some of it, and it's pretty good for what I have read. Okay, so here is the deck. These are the backs. I have etched it black, which I really like because it also has black borders, which is something else that I really like. I do think that this is a great deck for beginners. I personally was too superficial to get this as my first deck because, like, it's not like super pretty. It's not, but the faces, the people in here, they really tell a story. Their faces show emotion and tell a story, and I just find it, look at that. I think it's really powerful in telling a story and in showing emotion, and I think that this is just, look at that. I think it's a great, oh my god. Oh, look at that. I think it's an amazing deck that I personally don't even use enough. But like you see in this video, I have a lot of tarot decks. So sometimes it's hard to work with my favorites all the time because there are also other decks that I want to give it shots because I like them. And sometimes I'm like, why do I do that? I clearly have some of my favorites. Why do I need to give other decks a chance if I would love to work with this deck? Like, it's hard. Like, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Okay, this is my Dreaming Way Tarot. We're almost to an end. This is my Dreaming Way. And this is also one of my favorites. It's super sharp in, I'm not going to show you the backs of these because I hate it. But this is one of my favorites. This is super sharp. It is a little bit confronting sometimes. It's whimsical. It's fun. I love this deck. I love the shuffle on this. I love working with this. I think this deck tells me exactly what I need to hear. It's super to the point. I can do quick readings with this, and I think this is a really, really fun and great deck to work with. Yeah, I love it. One of my favorites. The Dreaming Way Tarot. I almost forgot to show you. I was gonna show you the last tarot deck, but I almost forgot to show you the deck that I always keep in my bag now, and that is the Sun and Moon Tarot in a tin. And I have done readings for myself as well as for my coworker with this, because this is the one that I keep on hand. And this is originally Thoth inspired, and unlike the Minor Arcana, where is it, we see keywords, which is apparently really Thoth. But I read it as RWS because I don't care about Thoth. I've talked about why I don't care about Thoth in other videos, but some of the cards here are so amazing. And I really like this deck. I really want to get to know it more, which is why it is the deck that I bring with me. So that if I want to do a reading for myself or for someone else, I can use this deck because it's cute and it's super easy that it's in a tin. And I might actually want to get the next and last deck that I'm going to show you in a tin as well. So I'm going to show you. The last deck in my collection is the RWS Centennial. And I might want to get this in a tin version as well to have it on the go, just because this is such an easy reader for me. I think this is neutral, it's easy to read with, it is also, like, I use this for my political readings as well, because it is such a great, easy reader, and that is exactly what I need for harder topics like politics. And the complexities that come with that. And this is just a great reader. And this is one that when I started off reading the tarot, I didn't think that I would like this. Because I do think that the colors and the imagery is a little blah, but ultimately I like the Centennial Edition. I have had the original RWS as well, but I never used that, and I only started reading with the original RWS once I got this Centennial Edition, because it just calls to me more. So yeah, that is the Centennial Edition. Might also get this in a tin version. I don't know. What do you guys do for bringing tarot decks? Do you use a mini version or just bring the bigger version? Okay, so these are some of the decks that I have officially decluttered, and there are a couple of others because I sent out some packages yesterday. I already sold the Barbieri Zodiac Oracle, Wandering Star Tarot, and a couple of my witchy books. Oh, and the Arcanum Tarot are also sold. Finally. And now the other ones that I have decluttered are the Tarot of the Golden Wheel. I got this in the Help Me Say Yes to the deck, and it's pretty. I think it is amazingly done with the watercolors, but ultimately it wasn't a deck that I reached for. I felt like this would, what did I think this would compete against? I think my Dreaming Way, but ultimately people said that it wouldn't because it has different energy, and it definitely has different energy, but I still compare this in my mind to the Dreaming Way Tarot, and I would rather grab the Dreaming Way than the Tarot of the Golden Wheel. I also did use this for some career readings because of the Golden Wheel, when I felt like Earth Energy, Pentacles, but ultimately I would prefer other decks for career readings. I also finally decided to declutter the Tarot de Lou. I forgot to put it on Vinted though, so I have to take some pictures of this deck to put it on Vinted along with my Modern Witch. But yeah, I think these cards, the images are ugly. I'm sorry, I think they're ugly, which is why I never reached for them. And I only bought this deck because there are astrological associations put on the deck, the symbols and stuff. But I can just put that on another deck that I already like. Then we have the Muse Tarot, which has come a long way in my collection. I wanted to declutter it. I have a deck study done on it with my alternative meanings for the cards. Well, not really alternative, but how to connect like the RWS keywords to the Muse Tarot cards. And I definitely recommend you watch that video if you have this deck or are interested in this deck. It's really stunning. Like, there are some really beautiful cards, but I just never reach for this. So that is the Muse Tarot finally going in my collection. I have had it on Vinted for a while, but it just isn't selling. I'm not even going to show you these because they are irrelevant. But yeah, 2 other little affirmation decks that I'm selling. So yeah, these are the decks that I have in my collection. Let me know which ones of these you have, you love, which ones do you have that you recommend to me now that you've seen my entire collection. Thank you for sticking with me. Click the video on the screen right now to see all of the decks that I decluttered in 2022, because there are definitely more decks that I let go of that, you know, you didn't see in this video. Click the link in the description box to join our Discord community where we have like-minded tarot enthusiasts. But for now, thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you next time.